Oh, where's the
Composer.
This is Real Generational Wealth. Live from Southern California, this is Abby, Espie, and Jen.
Hi, happy Wednesday.
hello?
Welcome back to Real Generational Wealth, where we have over 50 years of combined experience making sure you and your family always have a place to call home.
Yeah.
We are a couple minutes late because I had a few technical difficulties, but thank you all for tuning in. If you're catching us live, hashtag live, and if you're catching us on the replay, hashtag replay. Today's episode, everybody, Abby and Espie will actually be interviewing me. But before we get to that,
Yay.
I wanted to
Yay.
with you two. How are you ladies doing this week? How's the market on your end? What's going on?
Would you like to start, SB?
Oh, well, yeah, why not? I've been busy the last few days, and of course, life happens, but you still have to take care of your business and go on, right?
Yeah,
So I was just talking to Abby just before you got in, Jen, and I have a coach. I decided to really get an accountability coach. So I've been making calls um, to my old friends, my sphere of influence. It's called SOI. And that's the
mhm,
key, that we do is no matter how busy we are or no matter how much we are doing in our business, we still have to go for the origination. You still have to build up our business. So being an entrepreneur, we just have to concentrate on too many things and just be on top of it, whether it's live, whether it's marketing, whether it's origination, whether it's building up your logo, or taking care of a client that is really worried and concerned about, what's going on with their escrow, right? Yeah.
that's true.
So, yeah, that's what we do. And choosing to be a realtor and to be a full time realtor, that your main source of income, of livelihood, then that's something that you really need to know is to be rolling on the punches and what it goes up and down, continuous learning, continuous, you know, uh, dealing with all that. You know how you have this toy with the kids have to go like this and all the beavers that would pop out.
Oh my gosh.
That's a game that my son used to play, and he loved to do it. You have to hammer all these beavers that are popping out in the game, and the faster you hit their head and deal with it, the faster you get the score, the bigger score you have, right?
That's a good way to put it. That's a perfect way to put it.
Yeah. So that's basically what's been going on. Yeah. How about you,
Awesome.
Abby?
Well, I've been pretty busy, so I have a couple of escrows closing this week, and I know a lot of people out there don't think that they can find something because they don't have enough of a down payment. But a lot of my clients, they do FHA or 3% down if you have good credit, or 5% down. And there's a lot of different programs out there that you can qualify for, especially if you have a high credit score. So that's my emphasis on everyone. Try to get your score up so you can get to the next
Mhm.
tier. Let's say you're at 620, and if you were at 640 or 680, you could get much better terms and more closing costs paid. In the life of the loan, that can save you $1,000, maybe even $100,000. So
Yep.
just everyone there, work on your credit and don't get discouraged with the market.
Mhm.
Yes, it's very busy, but if you have a good agent, then they can definitely get you into a house, no matter what your down payment or what type of program you're using. It really doesn't matter. It's really your agent that matters, how proactive they are and how fast they are in getting you
That's right.
getting you
Yeah.
a showing or getting you into the home.
Mm-hmm.
Also, how um, their ability to have a good rapport with the listing agent, that matters a lot because for some of my clients, I have to really, I mean, not kiss. I mean,
Yeah, they have to give
like I
up.
have to
Not really.
I mean, I have to really be nice to the listing agents sometimes for my buyers just so they can get the home even though the listing agent is awful, but
Mm-hmm.
you have to do what you have to do. Really, there's no emotion involved. It's whatever we have to do for our clients. We'll do that just to get them into a home. So,
Mm-hmm.
anyways, today's episode is so exciting. We're going to learn more about our co host, Jen. Yay!
Yay!
Jen hardly talks about herself, so it'll be nice to learn about her and the things that she likes to do aside from real estate. So, Jen, why don't you start off by telling us how did you get into real estate?
Yeah, that's the first thing that we want to know.
Okay, so I've been in the real estate industry for since 2009, so that's 12 years. Whenever I
Ooh.
say that to people, they're just like, aren't you like 22? Yes, I'll totally take 22, but um, I I went to college. I got a degree. I got my business degree at UC Riverside, and I graduated in 2008 at the crash of the U.S. economy. And so
Mm-hmm.
at that time, nobody was hiring. Everyone, all the HRs were frozen. Nobody was looking at anything. And so my sister-in-law, who was a broker, she's like, "Well, why don't you just help me out until you find something?" So I was like, "Okay,
Mhm.
sure." I kind of was her assistant. She taught me how to read a contract, how to read offers. I learned all the ins and outs of like negotiations from her. And then as foreclosure started to really hit the market, she kind of no longer had work for me. So we ended up having to part ways. And then at
Mhm.
that point, I was like, well, maybe this is my chance. After about a year and a half with her, I figured this is my chance to go back into the corporate world, use my degree, get a job. Um, but nobody wanted to hire me because my experience was in real estate. So I hopped onto Craigslist one day.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't know that Craigslist has jobs. Well, actually, I don't know if they still do, but I went onto Craigslist and I checked. Okay, let me just see what's in real estate if there's anything open. I saw a position for the closer for the team I'm currently with, uh,
Wow.
and they called me and I sent in my resume. They called me on the same day, drilled me with a bunch of questions, made sure that I knew my stuff, and then hired me. They basically said, "Well, when can you start?" And I basically started the next day. So
Wow.
since then, I mean, at the time, I we were closing maybe 400 deals a year. We were so busy with foreclosures. It was a crazy time, but it really taught me, I guess, the good and the bad sides of real estate.
Mhm.
I came across a lot of agents who were shady. I saw a lot of the ugly sides where there were a lot of people who kind of took advantage of their clients, both buyers and sellers. And it's
Oh, that's so sad when that happens.
it really sucked.
Yeah.
I met a lot, or I found a lot of agents that were kind of just in it for the money. And I get it. Like a lot of people think that there's a lot to be made, but there's so much more to that, right? So I think that's when it inspired me to become my own agent. So after
Mhm.
my year with the team, I got licensed,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I became an agent and decided to help my own clientele.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward 10 years later, I partner and I basically manage this team. So
Mm-hmm. Very
Awesome. You
nice.
must love
Yeah.
it.
I love it. I love real estate. I don't see myself doing anything else. I'd love to get more into real estate investing. I've flipped several properties, um, but with
That's the
real estate,
best way
there's
to
so
do.
many avenues to grow and to learn, right? So I could I don't see myself doing anything other than real estate at this point.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Very nice.
So how long have you worked with your current team?
10 years, 10 years this
10.
year.
Oh, so you're really family.
Yeah,
You get to know each
Yeah.
other.
we're
Yeah.
definitely a family. We've got 9 licensed agents. We've got a TC. We are very much a family.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little protective over who we bring on board. Um,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of people who always ask us if we're hiring
Hmm.
very
Mm-hmm.
picky. I always want to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that we get people who are hungry, who are interested in,
Mm-hmm.
and are really ready to do the work. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, there's more and more people now who are doing teams because with all the other new big companies that has a different design like Zillow, Redfin, they have kind of like changed the whole landscape of real estate, you know,
I mean, my
and
biggest thing about Redfin, so we actually had a client that had, she left, well, I guess she didn't really have an agent. So with Redfin, she had contacted Redfin once, and I guess they sent her somebody to open the door for her, like to show her. This was a couple years
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
I don't know if they've changed the way they do their business, but then you've got an agent who shows the property, you've got an agent who will put on a lockbox,
right.
you have an agent who writes the offer, and
Mm-hmm.
there's so many, it switches hands so many times in the
Mm-hmm.
process.
Mm-hmm.
That's
With this
true.
transaction being the biggest purchase, the biggest investment most people make in their lives, you should be taken care of by an agent, if not a team, right?
Yeah.
With our team, you get 9 people for the price of one, even though like I'm still the one who holds the hands of my clients and I walk them through everything. It, I guess having my support and having the team helps me kind of be in 2 places at once if I need to be. But when it comes to like our clients, we're there, we make sure that they're taken care of from beginning to end, as opposed to Redfin being switched off agent to agent.
No
Mm-hmm.
wonder you're
Mm-hmm.
so busy all the time.
Yeah.
You're the one
Yeah.
taking care of the clients. No, but
Yeah.
I did have an experience with Redfin too. It's like they're just trying to schedule a showing with them. Sometimes the agent just got their license and it's like, do you know what you're doing? Did somebody teach you yet? Did somebody teach you real estate yet? Because oh my gosh, you don't even know how to schedule a showing.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
They
But I
don't
mean, I
take
don't
time
there
off.
are, don't get me wrong, there are some Redfin agents that are good, but
Mm-hmm.
just remember they're working with like 100 other people.
Right.
So like they
Mm-hmm.
work on volume. So I
Yeah, they
totally
work on
get it.
volume because they are employees.
Yes,
Most of
they
them
are.
are
They're
employees,
employees.
and then they get a bonus. That's how they sell the idea to the other agents. Because if you know, nationwide based on NAR, realtors in an average make $36,000 a year. That's the average, and they have an average of like about they close only 4 to 6 escrows a year.
Mhm.
you know so that's the average of the realtors, and we have millions of realtors. It's not just thousands.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people there who are realtors or who has a license, and we have to be able to raise up from the others, the other realtors or the other licensees who are doing this full time and who really do this in a passionate way. Because there are some people who are full time, but they're not doing this in a passionate way or in a genuine way, that it's more of self-serving. It's like looking at their numbers, looking at their quotas, looking at how much they can close a year. It's okay to do that, but it's also important to realize that what we are dealing with are the
People,
biggest investment.
people's lives. Like
Yeah, people's lives and their biggest investment. So it's really important that we listen to what they need and deal with that.
Right.
so back to Jen. So Jen, why don't you tell us some of your most memorable deals? Because I know you have some multi-million dollar
Yeah.
listings. I mean, not just $1 million listings, like 10 million, 20 million. Why don't you tell us about some of the most memorable ones?
Memorable.
Memorable in what way,
I
Jen?
know
What about
Like
tell
the
us the most
horrible one.
challenging one, how you deal with it?
there's so many. I mean, ticket wise, I mean, probably the most memorable last year was my biggest sale at 18 mil in
Wow.
Malibu.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but then I also have another memorable one. My smallest one I've sold was 35,000 in
Uh-huh.
Bakersfield. So
Oh,
Yeah, there you go.
um, I think a lot of my most memorable ones are probably the ones with my buyers who thought that they couldn't do it. You know,
yes. Yeah.
they were just like, we never thought we could buy a house. We didn't think it was possible, but you helped us get through it. Um, like it seems so far fetched to be able to buy 400, $500,000 place,
Mm-hmm.
with people who are living paycheck to paycheck, can barely save some money because they've got a family to feed, they're just like, the American dream is to buy a house. And I have a buyer consultation with them, and I'm like, well, no, you can actually do this and this. And then they're just like, oh my gosh. And now they have faith and hope. And then when we finally get them into something, that's what like makes my heart like jump. It makes me super excited. I actually closed the deal today officially, with some buyers who
Wow.
I kind of want to bring on in a few minutes,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
because they were some of ones that they thought they weren't going to buy.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
They actually watched our show in March, or no, it is March, in January, when
Uh-huh.
we talked about the pre-approval process.
Mm-hmm.
We just talked about kind of different loan options, and they felt inspired by our show and decided to reach out and want to buy a house. So if you guys give
Very
me,
nice.
let me bring on
How exciting.
two of my clients,
Let me turn on my lights.
Nancy and AJ.
Familiar faces. I think I know you guys.
That's
Hi,
right.
Hi,
guys.
Hi, guys.
AJ.
Hi.
Hi, Yancy.
Everyone.
So just to finish off,
Congratulations.
like,
Thank
Yeah.
you.
the ones are deals like these two. They've They saw our show, they felt inspired, they realized they could do it. They contacted me. I sent them a lender, and they literally got pre-approved the next day.
Wow.
On it, they were it was a VA. Let me long story short, it was a VA loan, and we closed in 25 days. I've never heard of that. VA loans usually take much longer.
Yeah,
But
like 45 days, like 45 to 60 days, because it's a government loan.
exactly. I mean, they were prompt, they were on it, and they were awesome. You guys have been awesome. But I guess Abby and Esky might have questions for you.
Okay, so how was it like? Well, how did you guys find the house? First off, like, how did you find the house that you ended up closing escrow on?
Well, so we was on MLS, um, but we before the house that we closed escrow on, we must have looked at, I don't know, guys, how many houses have we looked at?
Like a lot, like 10.
I got 10 houses, I would
More than
say.
10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Did you guys get outbid before this house on any of
Many
those?
times.
Many
Yeah.
times, yes. We do.
Oh,
We got our hearts broken so many times.
oh,
Well, the good thing about trying to make an offer all the time is that every time that you have an offer, you learn something, you learn something,
Mhm.
you learn something, and then by the time that you see the house that you want, you're an expert. You already know what to offer. You're more aggressive. You know, you are more sure that this is the house you want, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
we
so
actually
mhm,
we actually lost this house
First
at
time,
one point,
yes, at one point.
and then
uh-huh,
it came back to us. So
So it's
we
like it's fate.
yeah.
meant to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome, you guys. So, are you excited?
Yes,
Yes.
very,
Yeah.
very. And
Yes.
yeah, so we're very like thankful that we decided with to go with Jen because we knew
Hmm.
that she cares for us. You know,
Hmm.
Oh,
yeah,
Yeah.
she went above and beyond just to help us
Hmm.
out. Like we have like tons of questions, and then like she'll call us right away, like this and that, like explain everything because
Hmm.
we never
Hmm.
knew anything before this, and
yeah.
she had to do all that.
Hmm.
Oh,
Hmm.
that's awesome. Great
Yeah.
job, Jen.
Yeah, it's good to know where the next step is gonna be, rather
Hmm.
than you dealing with when it comes to your situation. It's always good to know what's gonna be coming to you,
Mm-hmm.
and if your agent is well versed enough and is really on top of things, then they can give you all that information before you can, you know, um, encounter it you
Hmm.
know that way you don't get surprised, you don't get frustrated, you already anticipated it, you expected it. Yeah.
So can you tell us about the house? Like, how does it look like? How big is it?
Of course, there's a pride of ownership.
Yeah, so basically, by buying the house, it saves us almost like more than $300 compared to the rent that we're paying right now in a two-bedroom
Oh,
apartment.
Oh,
And,
wow.
wow.
and the one that we're getting is like more than twice the size
It's
of the.
basically
Mhm.
like 4 bedroom.
Oh
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
Four
goodness. So you can
bedrooms.
even have a
Mhm.
studio there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and a
we're
guest room.
yeah, like
Right.
why did we wait? I mean, like this long if we could have done it like way earlier? Because we've always been scared that oh we couldn't afford it. It's
Mhm.
California.
Mm-hmm.
It's not
Mm-hmm.
worth it. Like it's not worth buying because AJ is in the
Military.
active duty military, and we're
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
gonna be just staying here a year or two. And we thought like, oh, we just rent. We don't want to lose on a house. And while watching you guys, like your stories, we were so inspired. Like, hey, they said
Mm-hmm.
they made it in like a year or two, and it's worth it. Why don't we try?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
That's good. That's good you had that thought
Yeah.
process to do that because there's a lot of people like you that don't
Yes.
feel they're able to buy a house or
Or they're
that
just
sometimes
constantly preparing.
yeah,
Well,
but some
Never know.
people there's that feeling like they don't deserve a house. There's I don't know, some Filipinos are like that. Like they feel like they're not deserving, so they don't even try or they don't even think that it's possible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But that's great that you thought of that and that you
Mm-hmm.
wanted to own a house. I mean, it happened. It only took like a couple months
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
got one.
Yeah.
mhm.
You see, if you're going to, put it in chunks,
mhm,
what is your monthly payment, what is your rent, what is the interest rate right now, how much are you going to save when you have a house and not all these little things. Once you realize it, you say to yourself, it's really worth having a house.
Yeah.
Like I have a client that I'm helping right now to move up. When we bought the house, she only got a FHA with a 3.5%, and now she's going to net about $150,000, and that's only like for 5 years, less than 5 years. Can you make that money? Save that kind of money in 5 years? No, you
That's
know.
hard to save that much money.
right?
Even
Yeah,
even
yeah.
10,000 is
So
hard
I have
sometimes.
one that's coming up right now, and they're going to make like about 400,000. So the more investment, or the more money you put into a house, no, the more you can make later,
Mhm.
because it's in a better location, single family home, things like that. They have a better appreciation. So Jen, I really commend you. You're one of the first in our group that was able to help our SMBG family.
Yeah.
Great job,
Very
Jen.
nice, Jen. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
it's super exciting. Like I was telling them yesterday that I I super appreciate the fact that you guys trusted me, right? I mean, you
Yeah.
literally learned a couple things from our show. It was like two
Hmm.
episodes of our show.
Yes.
You called me and you asked questions, and I helped you and answered all of them. But
Hmm.
ultimately, you trusted me, right, with this whole process.
Yes.
Mhm.
I mean, I said, hey, we're gonna go see this, this, and this. We have to put the offer at this, this, and this, and you guys were like, all right, Jen, we're let's do it. And even when we did lose this, I was so heartbroken off this one. When we first lost the property, I was really heartbroken because the agent actually said that he was gonna accept our offer. That we were one
Mhm.
of two offers that they were gonna be accepting, and midday they ended up going with the other one. But the other one
Oh,
ended up backing out within the first couple of
Hmm.
days, which is why it kind of came back to us. So
Hmm.
overall, like I appreciate you guys and your support because that's kind of what I'm here for. I really appreciate that you guys trusted me. Um, yeah, I'm super excited for you guys and your
Yeah,
upcoming show.
congratulations.
Thank
Next
yay.
time we need to have a party at your
Housewarming.
place then.
you.
Your housewarming.
Housewarming
Housewarming party.
party.
Yeah,
Yeah, at your place. We'll do like a reunion there.
Oh yeah.
reunion in your backyard. And then we can try your badua.
Your boudoir.
Wow.
Your studio is ready by then. So
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
house
right.
party and photo session.
Photo
People
shoot.
love photo
Yeah.
session.
Give us few weeks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
give us like a few months to get our beach body ready.
I know. You're right.
I need help.
Remember to love yourself.
Exactly.
The way we are, right?
Exactly.
Love ourselves the way.
Exactly, Abby. We have to love ourselves the way it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I don't know. Abby, Espie, do you have any other questions for AJ and Nancy?
No, I think we're
Well,
good.
just keep up doing what you're doing, and maybe in about 5 years, you're ready to move up. Who
Yep.
knows?
Hopefully.
True. Well, I had a comment. Well, I think so to the people watching, just maybe you can take AJ and Ayanci's less or their experience as a
Example.
lesson because
Mm-hmm.
they trusted Jen. Like
Mm-hmm.
when you trust your agent to help you buy a home, you'll definitely get into the right home and you'll get
Mm-hmm.
into a home. Whereas, there's a lot of people that are kind of like, oh, I don't trust agents. I don't want to give them my info. I don't want to say how much I make or how much I have saved. But
Or
all
they
of
go
that,
with too many agents. They will
yeah,
work with several agents,
but all of
and
that is necessary
yeah.
so that we can so that you can have more transparency. Like we're here to figure out what's best based on your situation.
Mm-hmm.
So the great thing is AJ and Nancy were very trusting, and look, Jen was able to find them a house in a pretty short period of time, only
Mm-hmm.
like a couple months. So
Mm-hmm.
that can happen to you guys too.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank
Again,
you.
remember, it's the desire. You need to want it.
I'll
Mhm.
talk
Yeah.
to you guys soon. Thank you.
All right.
Bye
Thank you,
guys. Thank
AJ,
you.
ANC.
You.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. So I have a question for you, Jen.
Okay.
Can you relate to me because you were telling us about during the time you started real estate during the time that we were having problems with the real estate market, doing foreclosure, and so can you give us one example during that time where you really felt like you were really helping this homeowner, how you're going to deal with their situation, you know?
As a seller, you mean?
Yeah, the seller who is about to
The
foreclose or
foreclosure.
the one
Okay.
who's
Yeah.
going to pre-foreclose, you
Right.
know? Yeah.
Um, I don't remember what year it was, but we had a seller. She was freaking out. I remember her calling us and I spoke to her. I think the one comment I do want to make is I enjoy residential real estate because of how emotional it is. I'm
Mm,
very much an emotional person, so I kind of jump on that emotional roller coaster with my clients, right? So this,
mm,
I remember specifically because the lady came in crying,
mm,
not knowing what to do. She was
mm,
about to lose her home. She had three little kids. She had no
Oh,
job. She did not know what to do. She needed help, basically.
mm.
And it's those sob stories that get me like, I want to help, right? So
But I think it will help uh, realize, for us, what we do for people, what we do for our clients, because these are really life changing career. This kind of career that we chose. It's dealing with life changes. Whether
right.
it's divorce, it's death, it's foreclosure, all that.
Yeah, I mean that was
So
that's
I
what
would love to hear your story. Yeah.
so she lost her job. She was a single mom, had three kids. She had a house. It was a starter house that she had bought in 2005. When the market was high,
And the
she
height.
bought it
Yeah.
high. And at this point, it's half the price. It's half what it's worth. She's upside down on her mortgage, owes more than what it's worth, and she did not want to get kicked out of the streets. She said, I have nowhere to go. I don't know where I can rent. I have no family that can help me. So we were able to negotiate a short sale for her. Granted, it took over a year. It took
Mhm.
14 months, but we were at least able to negotiate it long enough so she was living there without paying the mortgage because we were negotiating the short sale along the way. And in that time, she was able to save some money. She ended up finding another job so that she could find a rental. But that's why that short sale process was draining for her, right? So we definitely took on a lot of that. We we had her sign the authorization for us to contact the bank so that we could take on the brunt of all of the legwork that needed to be done. Negotiations, things with when we had the buyer and trying to get that deal closed basically. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, being upside down, I know it's not the market right now, but when you owe more, when it's upside down, you owe more than what it's worth. It's definitely a lot of legwork needed to be done. I'm sure SBU knows short sale,
Yeah. And
you
we
know,
have
like,
to deal with fax machines right now at that time,
yeah,
remember?
yeah,
You have to refax every time. You have to refax your contract. You have to refax the stack full of paper.
and most of the banks sometimes they won't take DocuSign.
Yeah.
Before DocuSign used
Yeah.
No.
to be a thing, like everything had to be wet signatured.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very timely process,
Mm-hmm.
and it was very important for me to just make sure that it was as less stressful as possible for her. So
Mm-hmm.
we ended up doing the short sale, and it took 14 months, but we were able to help her get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But so she didn't have to get foreclosed on.
That's
That's
good.
good. So you guys
Very
helped her,
nice.
like
Yeah.
she was in a dire situation and then she kind
Mm-hmm.
of, picked herself back up, she recovered and then she was able to put herself in a position to rent and
Yeah,
then take
Mm-hmm.
care of her kids. So
yeah,
that's great that
Mm-hmm.
you guys were part
Yeah.
of that. Because
Yeah.
I think sometimes people don't realize what our roles are as real
Mm-hmm.
estate agents. Like they think we just want to sell, sell, sell. But in that case, you worked
You
with
are
her
a
for
solution.
14 months
14
to
months. Yeah.
yeah, to get her to that point where she's stable.
Mm-hmm.
So that's great you were able to do that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so also Jen, I wanted to know, aside from real estate, I mean, do you have any other interests or businesses that you're involved in?
So I am a very avid raver and festival goer.
Ooh.
um, I own a EDM streetwear clothing brand with my boyfriend called My BPM. It was a clothing brand created for ravers and I guess, other festival goers because we want to spread peace, love, unity, and respect. We want to bring it past the festival. For those of you viewing, and I guess for you too, also who may not be so familiar with the rave scene, it's basically a music festival where you DJs and you have people and lights
I used to go to raves.
yeah, I'm sorry.
I used to go to raves
Oh,
like back in the
awesome.
days.
You know that. Well, with
What
rave culture,
was it called? Insomniac, something like that.
yes.
But yeah, I used to go to those. I remember getting tear gassed by the police.
Oh.
Okay, so not the bad
I
stuff,
think
but
my first experience with that was when I was in the Netherlands.
oh,
They were
nice.
doing it there in 1978.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
that must
yeah,
have been
way
more
back.
fun.
Yeah, and they were just starting. ABBA, I think, was starting then, and all these lights, and I don't know if that's rave, but then they were just doing the same gestures as that I was seeing Jen is doing.
That's awesome. I mean,
For me, I'm more in the salsa thing.
Oh,
rave
I
culture is
want to go to
definitely
a rave. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
change from, from taking care of my kids. Like it's totally different. It'll be like an escape from being a
Hmm.
mom.
well, I mean, so rave culture has evolved so much over the years. I mean, as you were mentioning in the 70s, and there's a lot we're in U.S. culture or U.S. rave culture. It started getting really
Hmm.
big in the 90s, and so it's changed
Yeah, of course.
Mhm.
Yeah.
it's
Hmm.
become so mainstream in the last couple of years.
Hmm.
But then it came to a complete halt come COVID, right?
Yeah,
So
Hmm.
that's
we
right.
haven't had any music festivals in over a year. And the thing is about rave culture is it lives and breathes peace, love, unity, and respect. And
Hmm.
it is it's really important for me and Ferris, my boyfriend, to really spread that message outside of the festival because a lot of ravers will go to these festivals for the escape, like you're mentioning, for the good vibes, for the community, for the music. But as soon as we leave the festival, all of a sudden you're back into real world full of anger and hate,
Hmm.
judgment,
Hmm.
and all that stuff. And if the world just practiced a little more plur, if every single person did an act of plur, peace, love, unity, and respect every day, the world would be such a greater place.
That's true. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
No more haterade.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's why we
Yeah.
launched the clothing brand, is to spread that message, like
Hmm.
no more haterade.
That's awesome. So. What
So,
inspired you to do that?
yeah.
Our love for the culture. It
Mhm.
We actually launched at the end of 2019. Um,
Hmm.
I feel that because as rave culture got so mainstream, there was a lot of people who would go to these festivals to just get for a party,
Hmm.
to get messed up. Oh, let me go with my buddies and drink and do drugs or whatever the case is. And there's so much lost in that. And for me and Ferris, there was so much more importance in the community, the friendships we've cultivated. I actually met Ferris watching a DJ. We were at a music
Oh,
event. And
Oh,
when was
so
that?
I was on a weekend trip to Chicago and we were checking out Dirty South. We were checking out a DJ and he
that's pre-COVID, huh?
pre-COVID. It was like
When
52
was that?
hours
Like 5 years ago, or how many
6 years
years ago?
ago.
Oh.
Mhm.
But that's the thing. Like some of our best friends we met at raves, and all of the magic that we love about the rave scene and the music festivals, we want to share and spread throughout the world. So that's kind
Mhm.
of what caused the birth of my BPM.
Hmm.
So, does it have a symbiotic relationship between real estate and your rave?
Um, I will say that the one misconception a lot of people think about ravers or people that go to raves or people who are just again trying to go party and have a good time, but a lot of ravers are actually very successful. It's
Hmm.
super
Mhm.
expensive to go to festivals. So if you can pay your
Smart
bills,
people.
yeah, if you can pay your bills and you can pay your mortgage and then still be able to
Mhm.
afford going to a music festival for a 3-day
Yeah.
weekend, you
Hmm.
have to make some kind of money, right?
Yeah.
And I've actually met a ton of people at music festivals when they find out I'm a realtor, they're just like, oh, well, I need to buy a house, and
There you go.
yeah,
That's
I
your
guess
farm.
kind of the symbiotic relationship. I mean, ultimate goal as far as real estate wise, I would love to sell a house to a big time DJ,
Hmm.
manifest.
Ooh,
Hmm.
that would be
Manifest
awesome.
that. Yeah. I
But
think being in real estate, the reason why we're here is uh, it's gratifying. It's not. It's people think that, oh, in real estate because you want to make a lot of money. It's not necessarily that, because it takes a real toll on you to be able to sustain the stress that is involved in the home process, on the home and buying and selling process.
Right.
And you need to know a lot of different information, to be able to have a snap in the hand like that and make a decision for a client. It's not just finding a house, filling out the forms, and do the inspections, and here's the key. In between those, there's always something that can happen, and one transaction is never the same. There's always going to be one thing there that can happen, and it can be in the beginning or in the end, you know, or in the
that's
middle,
right.
or all throughout.
Exactly.
Especially those divorce situation, you when you have to deal with two parties and all that, and
And they're
yeah.
they're super emotional too. When you're dealing
Hmm.
with someone with divorced clients, oh my gosh, they're
Hmm.
emotional and they're angry, and it's very stressful.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's like we're kind of like punching bags at that point
Hmm.
when
Yeah, that's when we say we wear different hats, you know.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But
So
Jen, so back to your business. So how can people purchase your clothing, the clothing? Like is there a website or an app or
Yes, you could definitely check out our website, www.mybpm.store.
B
mybpm.store?
my
Okay.
BPM dot store. What
Yep.
what is BPM?
So BPM stands for beats per minute, and in EDM there's so many different genres of EDM that are defined by their BPM.
I know
Mm.
SB's like, what's EDM?
I know EMD,
Earnest money deposit.
but what is the other one?
EDM, electronic
Yeah.
dance music.
Ah, okay.
There's
Electronic
definitely
dance
there's different
music.
branches and genres of EDM.
Uh-huh.
different types of music, I guess, within that
Yeah.
genre of music, and they're all defined by different BPMs. And
Mm.
when you say my BPM, it's not necessarily just, oh, what how many beats per minute I have. It's our clothing is supposed to be an expression of you. It's
Mm.
supposed to be an expression of who you
Mm.
are and what makes you you, so that you could be unapologetically yourself. And that's why my BPM.
That's a great
So,
concept.
so Jen, if I'm gonna wear your shirt that says my BPM, um, you think some people would say to me, "Oh, I want to buy a house."
No, but they probably want to go to a rave.
Well, they'll probably be like, what's your heart rate per minute or your beats per minute?"
Okay. Yeah.
So
All
they'll
right.
know. So okay. So what kind of clothing do you have?
We've had okay. We went. Ferris and I went to Cabo for New Year's, and
Hmm.
we were waiting for our room to get ready. We actually landed and got to our hotel before check-in, and we got in, and I'm wearing a sweater that has our logo on it. Ferris has a sweater or his hat and a shirt with our logos on it, and our we decided to go sit and have like drinks and have
Mhm.
some snacks.
Hmm.
And the server keeps going back and forth, takes our order, goes back, comes back, and he's like, "Hey, so your shirt, in his broken English, like he was doing really well, but he asked us, he was like, "Hey, your logo, like, does that have to do with EDM?" And we said,
With
"Yeah,
what?
yeah." He knew that it had to do with EDM,
EDM.
heart
Oh.
with the headphones on it, right? So it,
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
it breathes music, right?
Mhm.
But our message always ultimately comes back down to love, peace, love, unity,
Mhm.
and respect, and that's why there's a symbol of the heart.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, so someone saw it and knew that it was tied to EDM culture.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's
That's good.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I
See,
always think of
music,
the
music, it's good for the soul. You know,
for sure. It's a
it's
yeah,
universal language.
yeah, yeah. So,
that's true. So what kind of
mhm.
music do you like? What kind of music do you listen to?
I I listen to everything. I can actually appreciate everything. I grew up listening to R&B and hip hop. I think
Hmm.
at the very core of me, I still love that 90s R&B. But
Yes, my favorite.
now hip hop is just so I don't understand what they're saying.
90s had the best music, I
Yeah,
think,
I
even
feel like hip
alternative.
hop nowadays has changed so much, and
Mhm.
I can appreciate all of it, but EDM is what speaks to my soul nowadays. I basically listen to all things EDM.
Cool.
Very
Wow.
nice. Yeah,
So
yeah.
can you is there anything that you want to tell us about yourself that maybe we don't know?
We don't know yet for the last 4 months or 5 months that we have been together here.
That's true.
Um,
For me and
That will
SP or for
surprise
anyone
us.
watching.
I mean, I guess I want to. I kind of just wanted to talk about the life of being an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
Because we're all realtors here. We
Mm.
every week we talk about real estate, and today you guys have kind of let me touch up on my clothing brand and how a lot of people think that being an entrepreneur, well, yeah, a lot of people think it's easy, right?
Mhm.
A lot of people think that, or let's just talk about being an agent first, right? So being an agent, a lot of people think it's easy. There's like glitz and glamour, and that we get a big paycheck at the end of the year, or at the end of the transaction, rather.
Mhm.
Um, but there's so much more to that, right? We have the
Mhm.
emotional roller coaster that we jump on with our clients.
Hmm.
There's the time frame it takes to actually close the deal. Um, Case in point, that short sale I talked about that took 14 months. You know,
You don't get paid that whole time
don't get paid that whole time.
until the end of the 14
Yeah.
months or once it
Exactly.
closes.
Meanwhile, you have to pay everything up front.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We are paying for all of our expenses, even if it's just as little as the gas, and then just other marketing expenses, just the access to properties and things that we do for our client. It costs us,
Mhm.
but
And the constant learning. We have to do
yeah,
constant learning. Yeah.
but that's ultimately not what that's not what should be mattering when you are an entrepreneur, because ultimately the customer is what basically fulfills the job at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
That's
if you
true.
can put, as an entrepreneur, if you can put the dollar amount and the check aside
Yeah.
and you concentrate on your
Mhm.
customer and in any industry, right? Like
Mhm.
the money will come after
Mhm.
that. And
That's the key.
yeah, but I mean, also as an entrepreneur, is there are going to be ups and downs. Like as realtors, we are not promised a paycheck, right?
Mm-hmm.
We are constantly looking for the next deal. So
Mm-hmm.
we are constantly hustling. SB, you mentioned earlier about you calling your sphere of influence.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of have to constantly be lead generating, right? And building that
Mm-hmm.
pipeline. So even on months when we go dry, there's going to be other months where we lose.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Back when
true.
AJ and INC mentioned how we lost the first house, oh my gosh, I was so heartbroken because I already relayed the good news to them. And then I
Mm-hmm.
had to break their heart later that day, and I felt horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and
Yeah, you always have to wait until it's on paper,
yeah,
even though the agent, because
yeah,
some agents will just say that, and then all of a sudden there's a cash offer that comes in last minute that
Yeah.
trumps your offer, and it's
yeah.
like,
That's why as an
Yeah,
entrepreneur,
things can change anytime, during the transaction, something can change. Um, and if there's something that is, if you are in a situation, it's not only your client that is affected, it's also affecting us,
yeah,
yeah,
so whenever there's uncertainty, there's some, unexpected things that happens, then, of course you need to know how to pivot from that or how to do the solution. But of course you're also emotionally involved with it,
of course,
for your clients, especially if you really are passionate about what you're doing. You will feel that, you
yeah.
know
of
And that's why,
course.
because we're
mm-hmm.
just as emotionally involved as all of our clients,
Mm-hmm.
we
Mm-hmm.
go through the highs and we go through the lows with them. And I like
Mm-hmm.
to, I mean, as an entrepreneur, you have to learn how to bounce back, right? But
Yeah.
sometimes it's not as easy
Mm-hmm.
as other things. So I
Mm-hmm.
like to have a 5 minute funeral. That's kind of my thing. I actually teach
A
my
what?
listeners about that.
A 5 minute funeral.
A 5 minute funeral. If there is anything, and this is not even just in real estate, but
Yeah.
if there's something that happens in your day that
Mm-hmm.
screws it up really bad, if you
Mm-hmm.
lose something, if you're heartbroken, whatever the case is, you need to feel it. Feel it, embrace it, accept that it's like, okay, it happened, this is what it is, and
Mm-hmm.
okay, you're gonna have to deal with it. But you also have to put a time limit on it. So when
Yeah.
I don't get a house, I give myself a 5 minute funeral. I cry or whatever I need to do to let it out for about 5 minutes, and I have to snap myself
Mm-hmm.
out of it. I move on.
Mm-hmm.
Same
Mm-hmm.
thing with heartbreak or not closing a visit, whatever it is that we lose in life, we need to feel it and
Mm-hmm.
embrace it. But then you also need to put a time limit on it so that you can move on and grow.
Yeah, move on to the next.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
and we have to remember that not everybody is going to be a good match for us. No matter how much sincere we are doing or how much hard we're doing, there is going to be someone there who is just not going to work out working with us, you know.
that's
And
true. You
sometimes
can't vibe with everybody.
yeah, it can be heartbreaking. And now I learned about Jen's 5 minute funeral. I'll do that 5 minute funeral, and then bounce back and move on. Yeah, and you need to find out how you can pivot on that. Like there was one time that we were just the week that we're closing, you know, the house burned. The bathroom of the house burned.
oh my god,
You know, just before we were funding, so I had to extend the funding. I had to talk to
Oh,
the
they still got
lender.
it? They
Yeah,
still
they
bought
got
the
it
house?
after 2 weeks with a brand new bathroom and a brand new,
Oh,
and a brand new, interior paint, and steam clean carpet. But you have to know how to pivot. You need to know what is the plus, because there's a minus. There's always a plus. So if you can highlight the plus, then the plus is the one that's going to carry you on. But if you're going to highlight, the drama, then it's going to be a big drama, and sometimes that's what they remember.
yeah, you can't,
You
it
know,
doesn't do anyone good to focus
yeah.
on the negative or focus on the drama. But as agents, we are kind of like therapists. I mean, our
Mm-hmm.
clients are going through an emotional roller coaster, and we have to be poised and give them rational
Mm-hmm.
advice, logical, keep them logical, because a lot of times they think with emotion, and it's
Mm-hmm.
not always the best decision you don't make the best decisions when you're emotional, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's better
Mm-hmm.
to remove the emotion from it and think from a logical perspective. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what we have to do as realtors. And a lot of times it breaks my heart too, like when my client doesn't qualify or if something happens. I mean, I take all that on, and I do get, I mean, like both of you probably get stressed out too when
Mm-hmm.
things like that happen, but it's just part of the business. And
Mm-hmm.
the more it happens, you kind of just get used to it, and you know
Yeah.
what to do to
Mm-hmm.
bounce back, not just for us but for our clients too.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I totally
Yeah.
get it.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah. Well, at
yes.
least Jen started in a good way. You met up some people who really trained you very well in a very the worst kind of market. So you can be really very strong when it comes to that situation. And I won't be surprised if we're going to be getting close to something like that. So
I don't think
this is
so.
the time. This is the time that we have to brace ourselves and just be ready with what's going on. Be in the trend. Because right now the market is so good. Everybody is just complaining about not having enough home or multiple offers, but you never know what can happen, right? We didn't know COVID is gonna draw us like this, so we're always ready to deal with what's gonna come.
That's true.
Hmm.
I think the market's going to stay strong though in Southern
Hmm.
California.
Hmm.
SoCal, like the prices are high. I mean, the prices are
There's
really high
scarcity, yeah. There's
in
always there's always somebody who wants to move here,
Yeah.
no matter what they say that people are
yeah.
moving out.
Regardless, yeah, even the people who are leaving California, everyone always wants to live in SoCal.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes they're forced to leave California because it is hard to live in California. You have to make a certain income and there's a certain standard of living,
Hmm.
but there's a scarcity of homes. And
Yeah.
even with new construction, what I'm experiencing right now, most new construction sell out. Like
Yep.
a lot of them,
Oh yeah,
they're
because they have to wait. The cost of building goes higher every time, and they need to
yeah.
be able to adjust that.
But like I just showed some new construction and they didn't tell us, oh, there's 50 people on the waiting list and we have
Yeah.
10 homes left. So all those 50, the 50 people are already pre-approved. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
gosh, you guys could have told me that before I got
Mm-hmm.
here, but okay. They're like, well, we just want to make sure that your client likes it. And I was like, what are the chances of getting a place when there's 50 people already pre-approved in the waiting list?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of
They
new
want to
construction.
cherry pick.
Yeah, well, them they just go first come first serve. It doesn't matter FHA, VA. It doesn't matter. They don't want to choose based on cash or what type
Mm.
of financing you have. They said,
They
the
go by
same.
their list. You have to
Yes,
be there when they
they
call
go by
you.
the list. It's Tri-Point Homes.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so we gotta go look for something else. But that's
Mm-hmm.
what's happening right now
Yeah.
is really low inventory, even with new construction.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you
Yeah.
guys should buy a home now. Don't wait until
Yeah.
later.
Yeah. There's new laws coming up. The Prop 19 is effective tomorrow. Proposition 19, where you can save property tax when you move and sell your old home and get to your
Mhm.
fat equity and move to a more affordable home that is that has a high property tax like 500,000 in Riverside. you know it's usually 2% of 500,000 is your property tax, including if you add on your Melrose.
Melrose, yeah, or
Yeah.
CFT tax.
Yeah. So if you live in San Bernardino or county, or right here in some of the areas where you've lived here for about 20, 30 years, your property tax is only maybe $3,000. You can take that with you if you are 55 and over, and you can do that 3 times after 55. You can move 3 times more and still carry that on based on that Proposition 19. So there's going to be a lot of movement going on that's going to happen because of that new law, you know. Yeah. So you just have to
True.
be ready. Yeah.
Well, it was really great learning more about you,
Yes.
Jen.
Yes, Jen. I
Thank
We
love the
you.
never
way.
hear you talk about yourself, so that's good.
Yeah.
That's good to know how my BPM came about and how
Uh-huh.
you decided on a career in real estate.
I mean,
Yes.
ultimately, I guess what to kind of, I guess, piggyback off of that last question, I want all of our viewers to know that you can manifest and
Mm-hmm.
do anything that you actually want, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's real estate or a clothing brand or,
Mm-hmm.
YouTube. I mean, Abby, you started your own company last year, and this was all
Yeah,
in the
and you
midst of
During
that,
manifested it.
COVID.
right?
Yeah.
Like the three of us have helped so many people
Now you
buy
have this
homes
nice
last year.
office. Yeah.
Yeah, like amidst the pandemic, like so many
Mm-hmm.
people were so scared of what was going to happen about a year ago.
But I
Anything
think
happened.
if you can survive with COVID or survive with this kind of environment, I mean, you can do anything. You can
Agreed.
survive anything if you can
Agreed.
survive
Yeah.
the market during COVID.
Yes.
So
You have to step on to your strength and greatness and believe on it. I'm still manifesting and in looking at the red carpet to walk on when my son gets his award
It'll happen.
in the
It'll
film
happen.
industry.
Put that energy
it'll
out there. It'll
happen.
happen.
Yeah. So next week we're gonna be talking about Abby.
Yes.
Oh no, really?
Yes,
I
and
have
we're gonna learn more about your two chefs, how they love to cook, and
maybe I'll
also
have them
your
on.
your
They'll be
love for
my guests.
environment. Yeah, that would be great. And your love for the environment, that would be great
And
to hear.
sustainability.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
recycle your rice water, everybody. Save your rice
yeah,
water. Feed your plants with your rice water.
yeah. And your
Alright.
new car that's
No,
coming up that is also
that's not my
energy
car yet.
efficient.
Yeah. That I'm manifesting that. Well, actually,
You're in your dream board.
So we're just gonna practice the power of manifestation. Put it
yes.
out
Yeah.
on out to the universe and do the work.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's teach everyone that.
Uh-huh.
Alrighty, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. We will
All
see you
right.
all next week.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Ellen. She's saying something about